Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka Mono Bluetron, back again with another episode of 10-Minute Testing. So today we're filling another user request, this time for OJAMA ABC, and doing so was a little difficult since I have blacked out all of the deck building I did, trying to make the other awful Chaz stuff work. So, let's jump into deck edit and see what we've come up with. So here's the list. Now right away you'll see there's some nonsense afloat, so as always I'll give you a little bit of information about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and as always the card by card. So first, for those of you who don't know, Konami is in full GX reprint mode, and while I appreciate the Crystal Beast and Cyberdark love, they're kind of having to rankle with the fact that, Chaz has about 40,000 different decks he plays over the course of GX. As a result, they're in this weird position where they're actually releasing cards that are meant to fuse Armed Dragon to VWXYZ and turn Ojamas into machines. It's not ideal, and the cards are mostly gimmicky at best, but there's one that's almost alluring. It's called Ojama Modification, and it allows you to reveal a light machine in your extra deck, banish Ojamas, then summon as many pieces as you had banished. While it's intended for use with the XYZ fusions, the lack of restrictions means you can use it to port from the useless Ojamas to the big daddy of all light machines, ABC Dragon Buster. So this deck attempts to use some of the actually pretty impressive Ojama tools to move from useless little bean men in spandex to A, B, and C, the stupid nerds. To facilitate this game plan, we've got a lot of garbage in our deck, and you know what I'm always down to try when 80% of our deck is just straight bad cards: Card of Demise. Demise ABC has already had a reasonable amount of success, but there's a couple of things that make this version of the deck just a little bit more impressive. Firstly, Card of Demise's massive downside, discarding your hand, is actually almost a positive with Ojama Magic, since the card makes no distinction between being sent, destroyed, costs, or effects. Secondly, we're playing a couple of cards that should make building this combo a little easier, like Ojama Blue, who slots very nicely into the set 1 monster and 4 traps go style of gameplay that Card of Demise enables. Finally, even in worst case scenarios, it's very not hard to open with Union Hanger, and sitting on a spellproof A is usually enough to last until next turn, especially with 3 or 4 traps set alongside it. So, with all of that out of the way, let's move on to the card by card. First, we have our 3 copies of Vanilla Monsters, Ojamas Green, Yellow, and Black. Just beautiful. Next is 2 of each of the ABC pieces, 2 A's, 2 B's, and 2 C's. After that are 3 Ojama Blue, who can get Ojama Magic, and more importantly, Ojama Modification, which we have almost no other way to search. Next are said cards. When Ojama Magic goes to the grave, it snags all 3 Egyptian God cards, Ojamas, too much marathon. Next is Ojama Modification, which lets us reveal a light machine in our extra deck, banish up to 3 Ojamas from field, hand, or graveyard, then summon that many materials from deck. It can also self-banish to shuffle 3 banished Ojamas back into the deck. Next we have 3 Card of Demise, 3 Terraforming, 3 Union Hanger, and 2 Twin Twisters. It seems a little counterintuitive to be playing Twin Twisters in a deck with Card of Demise in it, but the positives way outweigh the negatives. Destroying our own bees is okay, discarding Ojama Magic is very good, and the couple of times that we won't be able to destroy an opponent's spell or trap because we've just Card of Demise probably don't equal the amount of times that it's going to be a positive that we discard a card for cost. Next are the traps. We have 3 copies of Solemn Strikeroni, 1 copy of Solemn Warning, 3 Quakings, 2 Floodgate Trap Holes, a Bottomless, and a Torrential. In the extra, we've got 3 ABCs, some good rank 4s, the Utopia Boys, Tornado Dragon, Castel, Bugenti Tsukiyomi, just because we're playing ABC, Abyss Dweller, and then a couple of 2s, just in case we get in a worst case scenario where we actually have to use the Ojamas, Crumble Logos, and Ronin Raccoon Sandayu. For links, we've got 1 Decode and 3 Proxy Dragon, no reason to make things difficult. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Playmaker, and you can see our opponent is playing something with Cyburst. He's got a Draconet in hand, which is one of the better ones. I don't think Cybursts are going to be meta anytime soon, just because their effects do too many random things, because in the anime, usually Playmaker needs some random thing and draws into the exact card he needs. Until their effects are a little more streamlined, or there's a critical mass of good ones, we're probably not going to see Cybursts become meta. We've opened okay. We don't want to see 2 monsters and a Card of Demise with a Union Hanger, which represents a 3rd monster, but it's possible that, I don't know, our Card of Demise gets Twin Twistered, and we need to use it. He's going to start by summoning Draconet and getting Bitron. This is just classic Playmaker, setting 2 and passing. We're going to start by activating this Union Hanger, which of course gets Twin Twistered. Afterwards, we'll just normal summon this B, set 2, and fire off this Card of Demise, which unfortunately draws us into 1 card and an Ojama Black. Not ideal, but at the very least, it's fuel should we ever draw Ojama Modification. We're going to Torrential once he gets the backup Secretary out. I've seen the anime, I know how this goes. He's going to Solemn Strike our B Buster Drake, then get in for 18. We're going to Quaking Mirror Force this Collapse Serpent. Maybe a little too quick on the draw there. We probably could have waited 1 turn, especially with this Floodgate we just drew. Our opponent's going to draw into a White Dragon Wyver Buster, attack, and this time I figure, I might as well take it. No reason to waste the Floodgate on this. We draw into, what do you know, Ojama Modification, so we'll use that to banish this black for an Assault Core, and there's ABC, and there's the concession. So pretty convincing game one, but of course not against meta, and more importantly, that OJAMA modification could have just been an A Assault Core and basically done the same thing. We've got a considerably better hand this time around. We have a copy of OJAMA Magic and a Twin Twister. These two love each other, as well as a Union Hanger, and thankfully an OJAMA modification, so we don't have to search it out. Our opponent's on Blue Eyes White Dragon, featuring Chaos Max, one of the very few ways in which Blue Eyes can compete in this current metagame, and unfortunately, Chaos Max lines up very well against our deck, so we'll see how well we can do beating through that sucker. We're going to start by activating Union Hanger in order to get ourselves an A and a B. We'll then Twin Twist our own B, discarding OJAMA Magic to get all three Ojamas to our hand, as well as the B trigger, getting a C. We'll then activate OJAMA Modification in order to banish all three of these suckers to get an A, a B, and a C to our side of the field. Afterwards, we will shuffle all three Ojamas back into our deck for the next OJAMA Magic, and then go into a Decode Talker, use C and A's effect in tandem in order to get a B back to our hand, special summon it, go into Tornado Dragon, then banish 3 for ABC Dragon Buster. So this is an incredible setup, but unfortunately lines up very well against what our opponent's doing. He'll start with a Melody of Awakening Dragon, then end with an Advanced Ritual Art into a Chaos Max, and unfortunately a second Chaos Max as well. We can deal with one by using like Utopia. I go ahead and activate the effect of ABC Dragon Buster just to banish something. Our opponent's going to chain Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. That's fine. We'll go ahead and tag out, and unfortunately we have to keep them in attack mode because they do double piercing. We'll get all three Ojamas, so at the very least there's less bricks in our deck, and unfortunately we're going to have to Solemn Strike this Eater of Millions as well, since otherwise it kind of wreaks havoc on our board. So we can make a rank 4 and we can make an ABC, but unfortunately that doesn't do a whole lot. One Utopia is good, but we need 2 outs, so I figure I gotta draw a Quaking or Bust. Unfortunately we don't. We do draw 2 traps, but as you can see, neither of them are Quaking. It's a Floodgate and a Solemn Strike, so our opponent is just gonna go to combat, and after a little bit of BM, kill us. So pretty unfortunate game 2. It seemed like we were in complete control of the duel, and then Chaos Max happened. Although that seems to be every game I play with Chaos Max. We get to go first in Game 3 against TD Metalfoe Cosmo, a deck that I really like, but unfortunately is going to get much worse in a couple of days as set rotation is limited. We've opened okay, we have 4 copies of Traps and a copy of Terraforming, so I guess we'll get to see just how far sit on an A with B protection can get us. We'll start by activating Terraforming to get Union Hanger, then Union Hanger to get A to get B, you know the drill by now, and then we will set 4 and pass. Our opponent's unfortunately going to start by getting rid of the best card on our side of the field, the Union Hanger, with the set rotation, going to give us a Cosmo Town, then normal summon this Bayo Baboon, and basically filter their hand all the way to infinity, making sure to get rid of this Masterpiece because Masterpiece is terrible in this deck. Hilariously, they draw into another Masterpiece. They're going to go ahead and Pot of Desires, giving themselves a Ghost Ogre and a Terraforming. When they go into Breaksword, I'll Floodgate. Not as backbreaking as it would be against other decks, unfortunately. Normal summoning Buster Drake is going to have to be enough. We get a C off of this Buster Drake, but unfortunately they're going to tribute 2 cards for a Masterpiece on Trap and Monster, which is most of what we have set. They're going to go ahead and destroy our Quaking, and then we'll pass it back. They'll start by using Silvered and Metalfoe's combination with Dragonic Diagram in order to get a Heritage and a Rare Metalfoe's Bismagia. Then they will special summon this Dogfighter. We'll Bottomless, but they'll chain destroying the Dogfighter so that they can get themselves a copy of Slip Rider, destroying, of course, our final face down card. So things are looking very bad for us. They're going to do 23 and 3250, then pass it back. Let's see how far we can go. I mean, OJAMA Magic is not exactly what we want to see, but going into ABC and discarding OJAMA Magic could be worse. We'll destroy the Slip Rider. They go into a Straw Man, and then we'll go ahead and pass it back. Thankfully, they've allowed us to keep the ABC on our side of the field because I think they're out of continuous spells in their graveyard. They'll start by going into Dogfighter, then of course destroying the 2 of them to make another Masterpiece. Going into Dark Lady, I'll go ahead and try to banish the Dark Lady. Probably waited a little too long on this. Then Chain going out after he negates, giving myself an A, a B, and a C. At the very least, it should protect my life points and give me the availability to go into a copy of ABC next turn as well. We do get the 3 Ojamas from the OJAMA Magic discard, so I don't know, maybe an OJAMA modification draw would be okay. We're going to C into C so that we, I guess, take less damage and don't die, but it's really not enough. This card of Demise looks really bad with a couple of Ojamas on our side of the field, and we're just going to have to scoop it up, unfortunately. Our opponent's going to style on us a little bit by going into Omega and then kill us. So we're back with the deck. It's not good. There was a lot of time where I felt like drawing a copy of OJAMA Modification would pull us out of a hole, but the card is just really hard to search. I wish we had, like, Crystal Beasts are going to get a generic OJAMA searcher, although I know the existence of OJAMA Trio means we are never going to get it. I guess we sort of already have one insofar as OJAMA Blue exists, but it's just terrible. Relying on setting it and your opponent to walk into it is not consistent, and walking it into an opponent's monster usually deals you about 3,000 points of damage. There were some cool boards we built, but I really think it's hard to justify playing this over, normal ABC. If we were just playing Gadgets and Thrashers and no Demise, I think we'd be building better boards and doing a lot better. Having said that, we wouldn't be playing Ojamas, so it'd certainly be less cheesy. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed the last 10-minute testing that will not be played on YGO Pro Percy because it literally updated 14 minutes before I finished this video. If you like what you see, feel free to follow me on twitch.tv/monobluetron. Links are in the description. I am streaming every Tuesday and Thursday night from 10 to midnight Eastern Standard Time. And if you have a certain idea for a deck or an archetype, let me know in the comment section below and I'll see if I can get to it. Otherwise, I'll see you Monday.